Okay, good evening, everyone. So thank you again so much for spending your evening with us. We know that people will still be checking in, but we're going to get started because we have a great group of panelists this evening. You've seen a number of videos from me. You've seen me in various welcomes, but again, congratulations. My name is Peaches Valdez. I'm the Dean of Admission here at Hamilton, and I'm excited that you are spending your time with us this evening to learn more about our community. So the goal for this evening is that we know that you have questions about finding community and the ways that you'll be encouraged to step outside your comfort zone. So this evening, we have a really robust and amazing group of panelists that are going to talk about the people that you'll meet and the things that you'll do to create your sense of belonging here on the Hill. And with that, I am going to actually turn off my camera and I'm going to let my amazing colleague, Eric Radona, join us, who is actually going to be your MC for the evening. So I hope you enjoy the evening. Please feel free to add your questions to the Q&A. I'll be doing them from behind the scenes, but I'm going to let this amazing group of people and colleagues across campus share parts about why they joined this community and how Hamilton is distinct. So thanks again and enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much, Peaches. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I'm super excited to not only introduce myself, but my fellow panelists. My name is Eric Radonia. I'm one of the Assistant Deans of Admission here at Hamilton College. I'm so excited to meet all of you and get to know more about what you're looking for and have our panelists talk about our diverse and inclusive community here on campus. Now I'm going to go ahead and have our staff introduce ourselves, and then we'll have our student panelists introduce ourselves. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Aaron.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Ray, he, him pronouns, and I'm the Director of Opportunity Programs at Hamilton College.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Paola Lopez. My pronouns are she, her, and ella. And I am the director of the Days Masolo Center, which is our Cultural and Equity Center virtually behind me on campus. Excited that you're here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Travis Hill. I use he, him pronouns. I'm Associate Dean of Students for Student Engagement, which, just so you know, means I have the opportunity to work with a variety of offices that include residential life, orientation, first-year programs, student activities, and outdoor leadership.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isis. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a first-year international student from Trinidad and Tobago. I plan to major in biology, even though I have yet to take a class, with a potential minor in theater. And I'm a part of the HEAT dance team, which is all-inclusive hip-hop dance team on campus. I work at the Oral Communication Center as a student assistant, and I'm a part of Roots organization, which is a group for students of color in STEM.
Hi, everyone. I'm Niari. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a junior here at Hamilton from Maywood, New Jersey. I am majoring in biochemistry and math. And on campus, I'm a part of the Quest for Scholars Network, as well as I also work at the Quantitative and Symbolic Reasoning Center as a STEM chemistry and math tutor. And right now, I'm actually in one of the residence halls in my room.
Hi everyone, my name is Denzel Kabayan. I'm a senior, my pronouns are he, him. I'm from New York City. I'm a public policy major and a math minor. On campus, I'm also an RA for South Residence Hall, where I'm currently living. And I'm also part of this Quest for Scholars Network.
Awesome. Well, thank you to all of our panelists. These are the experts to the Hamilton College experience, and I'm super excited for all of you to hear about what their experiences have been like being part of this community. So again, we will try to get to as many questions as possible. Thank you to those who've already submitted them. But again, we encourage you to ask more questions in the chat in the Q&A function down below. If you do have any questions, please do so in the Q&A. And again, we'll try to get to some live answered by our panelists, but then our Dean of Admission, Peaches, is also behind the scenes answering those questions. If we do not get to your question, please submit them to admission@hamilton.edu. But I'm super excited to start this panel. My first question for all of our panelists, and this is one that I think is a question that a lot of students have on their minds as they're newly admitted and thinking about, why Hamilton? So for all panelists, what brought you to Hamilton? I would love to start with one of our students, actually. So Icy, do you want to take this question?
Sure thing. I get this question a lot, especially coming from the Caribbean. But So my story coming here was actually a little interesting. My high school counselor actually recommended this school to me. So I signed up, I applied, and I got in. Yay. Here I am. That's basically it. Yeah.
All righty. Denzel, do you want to take this one?
Sure. I think it was around junior year of high school for me. We went on a trip to colleges in upstate New York, and Hamilton was one of them. And we visited campus. I visited a few other schools. At that point, I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to end up. I was still kind of applying. I ended up coming back to Hamilton on a diversity overnight program where I got to stay with a student for, I think it was like a weekend on campus. Got to meet some other people as part of that program. Got to sit in on a few classes from professors. And, after that, I really enjoyed my time with like interacting with students who were already on campus, asking them questions, and then really seeing the school had a lot of things I was looking for. It had small classes. It was a small school. And so after that, I applied ED to Hamilton and I got in.
Awesome. Nyari, do you want to take this question on?
Yes, for sure. So I was introduced to Hamilton. I came across Hamilton because I was a Questford scholar, and that's how Hamilton was on my radar. I didn't really have a lot of criteria of what I was looking for, so I applied. And then ultimately, I think it came down to the personal connections that are so integral to Hamilton, not just between students and students, but between students and professors and students and other staff, that they're not in classes with, but are interacting with on such a regular basis. So ultimately, it was the connections that brought me to Hamilton.
Awesome. And we definitely want to hear from our staff members what brought you to Hamilton. So Aaron, do you want to take this question on?
Sure. Yeah. So I first visited Hamilton as a college student, actually, as a track athlete. And I remember being really impressed with the facilities and the fact that they had Aretha Franklin come to campus to perform that night. So I was actually a little salty. And then as I grew professionally, I always kind of knew of Hamilton. It was a part of the Such Schools, which was a network of colleges I had been employed at. And when the position became open, I was really drawn into Hamilton because of the Alex advising program, and because Hamilton has an oral communication center, which I didn't know existed on college campuses. And I was like, all right, if Hamilton has that, then it's got to be a pretty cool place to be at.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Paula, do you want to take this question on?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I actually moved from the state of Oklahoma. So if we have any South Midwest folks, welcome. And I had the opportunity to meet our Associate Dean of Students for Diversity and Inclusion, Dean Maria Hanau-Ohms, and talk with her about the role of building out a cultural center, because the cultural center is in a really prime spot to grow and transform and be really integral to the campus experience. And after having that conversation with Dean Maria, I just couldn't not apply for the job. So I think it's a little different than making my academic college choice, but ever since then, it's been a really powerful experience. And I'm looking at some of the students in the virtual room. It's been fun to get to know you and just be able to do what we do at the DMC. So yeah.
Awesome. And I think when you said South Midwest, Paula, we had someone say hi. So I think they're definitely here represented. So thank you for that. Travis, what about you?
Absolutely. So I've been here for quite some time. This is my 19th year at Hamilton, but what interested me initially is going to a small private liberal arts residential institution for my undergraduate experience, having gone to graduate school at a very different type of institution and really wanting to get back to an environment like this. And when I had the opportunity to come to campus and get to interact with the students, I was just so amazed at how intelligent and thoughtful they were then, and continue to be. And it really felt like family to me. So speaking of family.
Well, hello, and thank you so much for that answer, Travis. I really appreciate that. Thank you to all of our panelists. Our next question is going to be for our students specifically. I think a lot of students, when they're choosing a college, they're thinking about community, right? And I think often I hear students talk about the vibe check, right? Our college is passing this vibe check. So for students, how would you describe the campus community? What's the overall vibe like here on our campus at Hamilton? And this can go to anyone, so anyone can take this.
I can start. I think that was one of the things that really drew me to Hamilton. Like everyone was like really friendly, even if I didn't know them, and it felt like you could relate to a lot of people. I'll say that there's like a lot of like organizations on campus for like different identities on campus that you can join. So there's like BLSU, there's La Vanguardia. We talked a little bit about the DMC as a really great like center on campus, like a physical building that you can go to connect with people from different identities. So I think, yeah, like the overall vibe, I just feel like regardless of like what your interests are or like what you're coming to Hamilton like looking to do, you're always going to be able to find like a community and a group of friends to fit in with. And like people in general are just really nice on campus. And even if you don't like really know them that well, they're still really friendly, and you can always ask anybody on campus if you like just a random question and they'll be happy to answer it.
Awesome. Thank you, Denzel. I see Nyari. Anyone else want to take this question?
Yeah, I could add something. I think that the vibe of this campus kind of relates to what side you're on. Like, I'm not sure if the participants here know about light side and dark side and gray side, but I would say personally myself, I'm a dark sider. So us dark siders are usually more artsy, we're cool, we're chill, we're really down to earth, very vibey, us dark siders. And then we have the light siders that are like more sociable, outgoing, like you usually find like the athletes on the light side, you know what I mean? And honestly, I cannot describe gray siders to you. I'm so sorry. I honestly don't know. But that is my representation of like how I feel on campus. Like I feel like there's definitely a spot for you here, like whether you're a light side or a dark sider, you could definitely find your place at Hamilton.
Totally, totally. And I love that you're introducing the campus physically, right? I think that IC is getting to the diversity of the physical campus, right? It's a huge campus sitting on about 1,300 acres of land. So wherever you are, whether that's light side, dark side, gray side, like IC said, it's a space where all students are welcome, which is super, super exciting. So my next question is actually for Paula, who it runs the DMC, the Days Masolo Center. And so what is the DMC and what is its role on campus, right? Can you share some examples of the activities and the resources that the DMC provides for the Hamilton community?
Absolutely. So I will say the DMC is our Culture and Equity Center, but I think for most students who are there, as well as for myself at times, it's our home away from home, right? It's virtually the building behind me that you see pictured, and inside it is a home. It was, redone beautifully, and it has a full service kitchen, which I know a lot of students enjoy to have their club meals there, or let's say, somebody wanted to come and cook homemade food of their, family's recipe. We have a full service kitchen, and a lot of students do that. As well as upstairs, we have our Center for Intersectional Feminism space, as well as our Gender and Sexuality Student Union Room. And so students will have club meetings there, or they'll study or hang out. There's TVs and gaming systems and all that stuff. But what we do is we are that part of campus where students can have that home away from home, and we contribute to the co-curricular experience. We host programming and sessions and aspects of every facet of human difference, from race, gender, cultural, religion, sexuality, ability, socioeconomic class, and you name it. We're that place that are exploring, but also partnering with our peers and our colleagues across campus, whether it's with student engagement with Travis and his team, whether it's with Aaron or faculty, right, in developing the experience. Way that we've done that, I get to advise our 6 cultural student organizations that you might have heard of. So there's a Black Latinx Student Union, Center for Intersectional Feminism, Feministic Color Collective, Gender and Sexuality Union, La Vanguardia, and Voices of Color lecture series. I literally have to use my hands because if not, I don't get them. And then I get to partner with student activities, student assembly, and the justice and equity part of student assembly. So I get to serve as the liaison and helping them think about thoughts or if they have questions. So we do programming, we do events. We have our Cafecito Friday dialogue that if any of you want to attend, check out our website. I'll drop it in the chat here in a second. It's a dialogue on anything from talking with activists, alumni. We highlight our cultural and heritage months and identity months. So we've had speakers for Black History Month. Right now we're working on our Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Month speaker to finalize those details to host them, hopefully in person. We're kind of in a little bit of an ongoing COVID flux, so we're trying to figure out how to work around their schedule. And in addition, we have dialogue experiences. So right now we have our social justice fellowship that is 26 students from first year to senior year exploring the intersections of social justice, spirituality, and outdoor leadership. And so that's a partnership between the DMC, outdoor leadership, and our chaplaincy. So it's 3 different departments that have worked together, but this is a formal partnership. And we've been in this experience and working on dialogue and interfaith and intercultural dialogue for the last, I think like 8 to 9 months. It's been a really transformative and powerful experience. So we're that space on campus that is holding those spaces for conversation, for programming. We have a lot of fun yeah, just check us out in our services. Not only do we do programming, sorry, you all, we also have our services. And so one of the roles that we offer is we partner with the YWCA and our community standards office, and offering students someone who's a community advocate if you need that resource in person. And in addition, we have an LGBTQ identity support specialist. They are a virtual staff member who's available for anyone who wants to talk with someone who is queer identifying, just to talk about experiences, navigating, or about their own coming out experience. So Lexi hosts one-on-one sessions, as well as 2 support groups that are currently running. So there's open doors for anyone that is exploring or wants a space to just share out, right? And then there's a specific trans non-binary group that is also meeting virtually. And so check us out, get to know us, engage with our social media too, and super excited that you're here.
Thank you, Paula. And yes, I think what you said in the beginning about the physical space being a home away from home, that is definitely true. I can definitely attest to the homey feeling you feel when you do walk into the DMC Center. And it really does act as the umbrella to a lot of these resources on our campus. So that's a great segue to my next question for all of our panelists. I would love to get a couple of you to answer this question about resources on campus. When we think about the ways in which we strive for diversity and inclusion in our community, we think about resources, right? So when we think of students, who identify with different ethnic or cultural communities, LGBTQ community, religious communities on campus, right? Diversity is quite the scope. What kinds of resources are there on campus for staff, students, and just the overall community? If I can get a couple panelists, that'd be awesome. So for students in the room, are there different resources that you find, with when joining campus or when making a decision to campus? What are things that you were looking for when you were thinking about different support systems with the communities that you identify with?
Yeah, I can start off. I was a Questbridge student as well. So that was like one community that I was already a part of that was a pretty diverse group, just like low income. Generally speaking, and then just a bunch of different people from a bunch of different backgrounds. I was also a higher education opportunity program, so I was part of the HEOP students. I'm sure for those who don't know, come to Hamilton's campus over the summer early. So that's another community that's usually really, really diverse that you're a part of, and they help you on many different aspects. If you're a HEOP student, you're gonna academic support, social support, integrating yourself into campus. You meet with staff. You get to meet some of the professors on campus early. So all those things are really helpful. And then outside of that, I kind of alluded to it earlier. There's the Black Latinx Student Union on campus is one of the groups. La Vanguardia is another group on campus. There's many more, but I would say that the ones that I mentioned are the ones that I'm most familiar with.
Totally. And thank you, Denzel, for mentioning HEOP, because we actually do have a virtual event for that in 2 weeks. So if anyone's interested, please feel free to join our HEOP program. And I know Paula mentioned a lot of resources that really do help these various communities on campus. So thank you for introducing to some of the organizations and clubs that you're a part of, Denzel. It's great to find those spaces on campus. Another question that I have for our student panelists, I think something that students are always curious about is what is life like outside of the classroom, right? What are students doing during their free time? So for my students in the room, what do the evenings and weekends look like for you? What are you all doing on your weekends?
So I can start for this one. My evenings look a little different, depending on if it's a weekend or a weekday. Weekdays, it's usually either I'm working or, I'm like doing homework, but it's usually done before dinner. So after dinner is pretty much a wind down time, kind of relaxing, preparing for the next day. And sometimes just watching movies with my friends. That's very important. If you're staying up till midnight, you want to watch movies. And then weekends, I usually spend at least like one full day, again, just recuperating, preparing for the next week, but also de-stressing from the week before. And I go grocery shopping a lot because I love to cook and I love to make spreads of feasts for my friends. So I'll go grocery shopping a lot on the weekends as well and use the Hamilton College Jitney, which is a van service that Hamilton offers, which takes you to Walmart, Hannaford's, Target, the movie theater, anywhere you would need to go. So that's what my weekends look like.
No, I can continue. So usually for the weekdays, if I'm not working at the OCC or at heat practice, I would be in Fojo with my friends doing work, or probably in my room watching a good movie or reading a book, just to chill and unwind from the day. On a weekend, I would be grocery shopping, using the jitney, hang out with friends again, or like go into possibly any event that the campus has, because guys, when I tell you that there are so many things happening on campus, like you literally kind of be bored. Just this past weekend, there was an event where you get to the first year events hosted axe throwing and then a bowling night. I mean, come on, like that sounds great. Like all of these events, like you can't miss out on them. So yeah.
Totally, I see, totally. And just to stress again that there's so much going on, we actually have something called Hamilton Today that comes out at 3 a.m. I think every day for all community members that lists all the events going on our campus, whether that's academic related or social life. So again, a really great way to stay connected and you're never bored, whether that's on or off campus. So thank you to Nyari for that. Continuing with our student panelists, I think, we alluded to just being able to enjoy campus, but also things off campus, right? And I think about our location immediately. So as all of you should know, right, we are not in Manhattan. We are in Clinton, New York. Clinton is your quaint, quintessential college town. So my question for my students is, can you talk about the Clinton area? And you mentioned that you've used the jitney before. So, what does that look like? Where are we going using the jitney? What are some of the neighboring communities like that you've used when using the jitney?
I can talk to that a bit. So Clinton's a pretty small town in and of itself. And for like clarification on the jitney is basically like a big van that you can take on that takes students off campus and it comes to pick them up. And so basically the two main areas that you can go to are Clinton and like New Hartford. And I'll start with Clinton because it's a little bit easier. Clinton is a bit of a smaller town, but they have like little antique stores. They'll have like farmers markets like during the fall semester, which is really cool. You can shop some like local like honey and like actually just like local pastries in general. There's like Utica Coffee down there, which is like a coffee shop, and this place called the Compound, which makes like some pretty interesting and tasty grilled cheeses. So pretty small town. There's a Hannaford's that both of our panelists alluded to. That's like really close to if you're into cooking and want to do some grocery shopping. And then a little bit further out from campus, you have like the jitney will take you out to a shopping center that has like a Target inside of it and some clothing stores. There's a movie theater. There's a good amount of like just like restaurants too. Like there's like Red Samurai in the area. Is like a hibachi restaurant, which is pretty cool. Yeah, there's a good amount of just like there's Five Guys, which I have a bad addiction to and order way too frequently from, but where I end up going there way too frequently. But yeah, there's like a lot of different locations like in the area, mostly New Hartford and Clinton, where you can shop around.
Awesome. And I actually want to throw this question to Travis as well, because I know that often the jitney will go to Clinton, will go to New Hartford, but it also goes to Utica. It's a local city about 20 minutes away from campus, has a population of about 60,000 people. So Travis, can you speak to what Utica is like and some of the offerings that students will find when they choose to travel to Utica?
Sure. Yeah, I often like to describe it that we kind of have the all the different iterations of communities, short, obviously, of a huge city. We have a small town. New Hartford is kind of like a suburb where you have the box stores and the chain restaurants. And then Utica has different ethnic foods, different shopping options. If you need to get lined up properly, you can find a barber that can do that more readily in Utica than you will in New Hartford, and certainly in Clinton. And so, you know, based on what you're looking for, you can really kind of find anything you need within about 20-25 minutes of campus. Are you going to find a huge metropolis? No, but you can find great food options, great communities, and quite a bit of diversity through those 3 layers of communities.
Yeah, awesome, Travis. And I think it's really awesome being able to hear from Travis, because Travis has been, like he mentioned before, a longtime resident of both Hamilton and the general area. So Travis, I would love to know, you know, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen most about students over time during your time here at Hamilton?
Well, I'm going to try to keep an eye on our current students' reaction when I say this, but I think it's a pretty common belief that after one is admitted to Hamilton, starting the immediate next year, people feel like they couldn't have gotten into Hamilton the following year, because every year we get more and more selective and have a different population of students. Yeah, I'm seeing the reactions, and I've known alumni through many years that feel exactly the same way. And I just want to say, if you are in the receiving end of this message, you were admitted for a reason. You were meant to be here, just like these wonderful students that are on the screen that you've had the opportunity to listen to. And so this is still the place for you, and we are very excited for you to join us. But the caliber of student increases every year. The diversity of our students has changed a lot. For those students who are here now, you may look around and say, this is a pretty white place, which is a fair way to perceive Hamilton. But I will tell you, as someone who was here for quite some time, that it has become more and more diverse in every way, and that is to the benefit of this community. So our students have changed a lot through the years. One thing that has not changed is that they are very talented, very motivated, and it is a wonderful opportunity. I'm very biased about Hamilton and this type of institution, but it's a magical place to get to come and not only study on a hill like this, but to sleep and then take your meals and spend 24/7 for all or the majority of 4 or 5 years to make your way through Hamilton, because you get to experience this with a group of people, many of whom will be different from you, but that you will get the chance to have this shared experience of learning and growing for the time that you're on the Hill. And we're excited to have you.
Totally, super excited. This was such a crazy year, but I think that makes us even that much more crazy excited for the class of 2026. We are so excited for all of you to be here. And whether that's, you know, in Clinton, in New Hartford, in Utica, you know, there is no fee for the jitney. So students really do take advantage to use the jitney, use transportation around the local area to explore these communities that they cherish throughout their 4 years. So thank you, Travis, for that beautiful response. Going back to some of our student panelists, I think another question that a lot of students think about when they think about diversity and inclusion on campus are about various cultural clubs and programming that students are involved in. So, you know, are there any cultural clubs and programming that students cannot miss during their first year? Or are there events that come to mind when you think of, oh, when first years, when the class of 2026 is back on campus or on campus next year, what are things that they must attend? For our students, can we have some of our students talk about their experiences?
I can start. This may be a very biased opinion, but I think the Chai Nights that are hosted by the South Asian branch of the Asian Student Union are amazing. I love, you know, making chai with them, but also we invite professors a lot. So it's just a really nice, you know, getting to know your professors in a very informal setting as well. And these are professors that you might not even have, because I'm a very STEM heavy person. A lot of these professors were from the humanities and the social sciences. And that was really interesting because I was first introduced to them because of Chai Night. So I would highly recommend the Chai Nights for anyone that wants to go and drink some good chai.
Thank you, Niari. Denzel, I see, are there any events or cultural programming that have happened throughout your years here at Hamilton that you get really excited about, so that when first years are on campus next year, you're bringing them along, you're telling them to go, that they're totally events that you cannot miss on campus? Anything that comes to mind?
Anytime one of the student organizations on campus is doing like a local food night, I will not miss it. So like La Vanguardia will do like empanada nights and things of that nature. I'm going to be there. I'm very much a foodie, so anything with food, I recommend you go because it'll probably be pretty good. So
Totally. And I saw you shaking your head. Are there other events that happen that have a lot of great food as part of it?
Yes, no, I completely agree. Like BLSU usually has food nights as well. The International Cultural Association has food nights where they would like do catering from Minar, which is like a local food place. The food, beautiful, so great. Definitely recommend anything with food, be there.
Totally, totally. We all love food and we all love a diversity of food. So to find that on campus in some of these smaller organizations or communities is definitely something you must go to, right? Awesome, awesome. So my next question for our panelists is about campus life. And so I know that there's a lot of great things that we talk about when we talk about Hamilton and all the great things that you're going to experience, but there's also going to be some surprises. So for our students, what was the most surprising thing about campus life? What is something that really shocked you when you came to campus after being admitted, and what kinds of expectations did you have that were completely debunked or changed as you navigated your time here as a student? Anything that really surprised you about campus life?
I can go first. I think a big shocker to me was how informal and welcoming the professors were. And this is not just in terms of office hours, but the fact that I was running into my professors at dining halls and they were asking me if they could sit with me and talk to me about my life, or running into them at the gym, or running into their families at the rock climbing wall in our gym. That's something that really shocked me because I was only expecting to see my professors in a very formal setting. So being so familiar with them in a very informal setting was something that took a while to get used to, but now it's very normal. And when I tell everybody that I go to my professor's house for tea nights or for dinners, it's very surprising to them, but it's normal now.
Awesome. Thank you, Niari. I see, Denzel, anything that really surprised you? I know I see that you're first year, and so being your first year, as you're navigating the end of the academic school year and reflecting back on your year, are there things that have really surprised you? When you think about a year ago when you were one of these admitted students watching a panel, what are some things that have now surprised you during your first year?
I think one of the things that has surprised me is being on campus. Like, we're living the same place where we're getting our education. And like, I remember during like the pandemic where you had to like mix your home life with your school life, it was just not working out. You were constantly so unmotivated. Like, it just was not working out. But I find it so amazing that we're living while learning, but it still works out great. Like, every morning you wake up, you get breakfast with your friends, then you go do work, and then you go to your classes and you come back, and like, it feels normal. Like, it's not like the same as you were in the pandemic. You know what I mean?
Totally, totally, right. Because you think about, wearing your sweats and staying inside in bed during your classes, right? But I think with a community that embraces community, right, as such a core tenet to the culture, it really does inspire students to embrace what it means to live and learn in the same place. And I love that you brought that up. Thank you, IC. Denzel, anything that really surprised you now that you're, near the end of your Hamilton experience? What are some things that you're reflecting on as someone who has gone through a lot here on campus?
I think the most surprising thing, especially like in my first year, was how busy campus is. So like after making like, a lot of friends on campus, like I remember going to like some of my friends' concerts, and then I would go to my other friends' like Frisbee game. And so like you find yourself like just going to like a lot of different events because like a lot of students are just into really different things. Like I remember going to one of my friends' slam poetry, like they have not they just read slam poetry basically as a club. And so like I just remember being like really busy and like going and experiencing like a lot of different things. So Yeah, there's just a lot going on campus all the time, I feel like. So I think that was the most surprising thing to me.
Totally, totally. And being a fully residential campus, right, where all students are living on campus for all 4 years, I think it makes it so that it operates like a small city, right? A busy small city where students are really engaged. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you to our students. Our next question is for Erin. Erin, I would love to hear about, the Alex advising program on our campus. Alex is something that's new to our campus, but Erin, can you talk about the Alex program? Can you talk about the role that other programs on campus have, like the opportunity programs, and how do these additional resources on our campus support our students?
Yeah, absolutely. So Alex is a division within academic affairs, and it sort of connects all the various academic resources that are available to students. So I mentioned already the Oral Communication Center, but we also have a Writing Center. We have the Quantitative and Symbolic Reasoning Center. We have a Language Center. We have a Director of Fellowship Advising, a Director of Pre-Health Advising. We have Alex Advisors. We have a Study Abroad office. I mean, there's so many resources that can feel overwhelming, especially for first year students. So Alex was created to kind of bring it all together and really open up the doors for collaboration. And with it, the positions of Alex advisors were created. So these Alex advisors are someone that each incoming student will have. They'll have an Alex advisor, and they're there to help guide you to these resources. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you don't know how to apply for a job on campus, or you haven't really thought about what you want to study, or you don't know where the career center is, you can go to your Alex advisor. They are a resource for you that ideally will stay with you all 4 years while you're a student at Hamilton. But we all work under the Dean of Engaged Education, and she really leads us in thinking critically about what our resources can do for students on campus and how we can best assist our students in getting acclimated to Hamilton and thriving at Hamilton.
Totally, Erin. And I think it's really awesome because, like I said, it's a new program. So Hamilton as an institution is really looking to find different ways to continue to support and leverage students throughout their experiences here. And so having this new program, we're really excited to see how successful it is during its pilot year, but we're also that much more excited to see what kinds of feedback we have so that future generations of Hamilton students like yourselves are that much more excited, happy, and successful with the Alex program. And then Erin, I know that you're also highly engaged with the opportunity programs. So can you just talk about what your role is in that and what students can expect from you on our campus?
Yeah, so the opportunity program is actually two programs together. We have HEOP, the Higher Education Opportunity Program, which is made up of students from New York, and then our Hamilton Scholars, where students can be from New York, but also anywhere in the world. So we have approximately 160 students on campus, and we work very closely with students throughout their 4 years at Hamilton. Denzel talked briefly about the summer program. All of our students come to campus for an intensive 5-week summer program designed to help onboard students to Hamilton, and then we continue that support throughout their 4 years. We collaborate very intentionally with other departments in the Alex program, but also with other departments all around campus. So anything that we can do to build bridges for our students, open doors for them to take advantage of the resources, that's our job.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Erin. And again, I cannot stress enough just the amount of resources on campus to support students, right? We think of, campus as a community of support. And so we want to make sure that students are feeling supported in all aspects of their experiences throughout their 4 years. So thank you for that. Back to our student panelists, we think of diversity and inclusion and the community that lives on campus, but that's something that you also feel and see in your classes, right? So there's that academic community. So my question for our student panelists is, what has been your favorite class so far? Icy, do you want to take this question first as a first year? What has been your favorite class during your first 2 semesters here on our campus?
Sure. Okay, so my favorite class so far has been theater. I love theater so much because coming from high school, I wasn't able to, divulge in other backgrounds because basically I was just STEM only. So I really wanted to take advantage of the liberal arts curriculum. So I took a theater class and it was amazing. I definitely recommend Theater 100. You learn all the basics of theater, you learn some acting. I also recommend Professor Mark Cryer. I really love him. And I loved it so much that I took another class this semester.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, we love theater. And so anytime you can get on stage, definitely encourage it. Niari, what has been your favorite class during your time here at Hamilton?
So surprisingly, my favorite class at Hamilton has not been a STEM class, even though I'm a double STEM major. It's been a literature class called Bollywood Film. And I'm from India, so I, grew up with Bollywood films, and just analyzing them and getting this new perspective was really interesting. And I highly recommend it. I love the professor. It was an amazing class overall.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Niari. And Denzel, what has been your favorite class?
Definitely American political film with Professor Klinkner, because it's essentially a class where you watch like different movies, and you just talk about the movies, and you write papers on the movies, but it almost doesn't feel like a class. A lot of movies that we were watching were pretty entertaining. So I just remember I took it last semester, just coming back to my room and oh yeah, I gotta do homework. Let me just watch this 2-hour movie. And so that was a really good feeling.
Awesome. Awesome. No, yeah, sounds like great courses on campus, and to really embrace that academic community on campus. So thank you for that. Continuing with our students, right? Thinking about your experiences, we also want to talk about this sense of community that we are so proud of. So for our students, my question for you is, how did you connect with others on campus? And how have you developed that sense of belonging in community that is so important when making a decision about college? Niari, do you want to take this question first about how did you find that sense of belonging here on campus?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing that happened that made me feel at home was the fact that we had orientation trips. And I think connecting with the people that were on my trip was such a great experience. It immediately gives you that group of people that you're so comfortable with, that you've spent 4 days, on a trip with. And then eventually it's just, going to club meetings and figuring out what you're interested in. And once you start meeting people that have similar interests as you, that's how it really starts, feeling at home. And one more thing is, this is also random. This might have been a pre-COVID thing, but first year, I remember going to random tables in commons and just sitting there and starting conversations with the people that were on those tables. And so that's how you started meeting a lot of people within that short 1 week orientation period, because you started getting to know all of these people. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Niari. And I can definitely attest to that sense of courage and bravery that it takes. It is scary to put yourself out there, but in college, and especially at a space like Hamilton, right? This is a space that students are eager and almost hungry to meet other students. So definitely encourage you to try what Niari did, and just really say hi to anyone and everyone who's so excited to meet you. Denzel, Icy, how have you found community, or how have you connected with others on Hamilton's campus?
I am also I'm a Hamilton scholar, so which is like the other half of the HEA program. And my group of friends from summer, so my group of friends today, we're really tight in community, we're really bonded from that summer program. And they're really my family. I cherish them so much. And then during the semester, I attended a lot of different clubs where I meet people. Pete is my team. I love Pete so much. That is my home as well. I love that I'm able to dance and express myself with them and laugh with them. It's really great, because I was on a hip hop team in high school. So I love that I could still continue my passion here at college.
Love it. Love it. And I'm actually the staff advisor for the hip hop dance team Heat. So definitely love the plug, and definitely agree with Icy on that. This is a community where you can find so many kinds of communities, even in the dance studio. So appreciate that, Icy. Denzel, how have you found and embraced community on campus?
I think kind of the same way. Being part of HEA was a big help. I met a lot of people before all the other students came on campus, so I made a lot of friends there. And then the people when I got placed onto my orientation trip, it was an animal care trip where we kind of went around and just went to different farms around, taking care of different animals. The people I met on that trip ended up becoming some of my best friends, and we're still friends to this day. And then from there, Westbridge College Network, met some more people there, as some other Westbridge students. And then kind of just your friends are going to be part of different things than you're part of, and then they'll probably introduce you to some of their friends. And so I just made friends through my friends' friends. So yeah.
Totally. We love the networking, right? That's awesome. Thanks, Denzel. So my next question is for all of our panelists. And this is actually a question that I think is pretty unique in terms of the kinds of questions we expect from prospective students, but also I think a very fun question. So for all of our panelists, I would love to hear from all of you. What is one thing that students should do, or, what is one person that students should meet within their first month here at Hamilton College? Paula, do you want to take this question first? Who is that one person they should meet during that first month? What is that one thing they should do? Either question.
Oh my gosh, the one person you should meet. Yowza. Oh, can I pass? And I'll come back. That is like such an, sorry, I feel on the spot.
No, totally. We'll pass it on. It is a question that does come with a lot because there's so many great individuals and there's so many great things that happen in the first month of the academic school year. So I'm excited to pass it on to the next person. Nyari, do you think that who's that one person or that one thing students should do within their first month at Hamilton?
Oh, that's so difficult. But I think the first person that I think students should meet, at least within their first month, is their advisor, and Hamilton kind of tells you to meet with them. And during my first, semester, when, I was feeling a little homesick, or, during the early parts of the semester, my academic advisor was the person that I kind of just like went to every single time. I was like, oh, this is happening. And then she would just like calm me down and talk me through it. And she would also like give me ways that I could combat that. So I think your academic advisor is like this huge support pole that Hamilton just places for you, and you should just kind of latch on to that.
Awesome, Nyari. Let's throw it back to Paula. Paula, do you have your answer?
Yes, I'm ready now. So the one person I would say you should meet is, if for sure, staying in touch with your orientation leader or your resident advisor. Right? Like I think Nyari touched on the faculty advisor, your academic advisor, and the Alex advisors have already been touched on, but there's such a dynamic and transformative relationship and mentorship that can build from that. And it's someone that you can go to normalize those feelings of transition and answer those questions. And then you asked me, what is one thing that you should do as a student? Breathe, really take a really long inhale and an exhale, and like just take it in. Get as much sunshine as you can within those first months of the semester, because winter is long. And yeah, breathe. There's going to be a lot of things going on. Fall is busy with like the club fair. I think that happens like the second week of school. It's like there's so much. So just, you don't have to go to every club meeting. You don't have to, like, if you miss one, the world is not going to fall apart, nor will they like exclude you from the club. So breathe. Every day is a new day, one day at a time. And yeah, take in the sunshine.
Oh, thank you for that, Paula. I think I also needed to hear that too. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. What about you, Travis? What's that one person? What's that one thing students should be doing first month at Hamilton?
Yeah, I think that we've touched on some of the obvious people part, and I would reiterate the resident advisor and orientation leader, but I would say to build on what Paula said, that it is common, like Nyari said, to go and get involved and meet people and use clubs and organizations as an avenue to meet people, which totally makes sense. But don't feel like you need to commit all your time. You don't have to go to a meeting and then immediately become the vice president. Like, take time and treat your time like a critical resource, because it is. You only have so much to offer, and some of it needs to be held back to take care of yourself and to get good rest and to do the things that you need to do. And in those early days, and Eric, you mentioned this, that nervousness and that excitement of being on a new campus and wanting to meet new people and to find your people and your friends, that nervousness is normal, and it's going to last a little longer than you might think. And so don't feel like you need to invest all your time in every activity as the avenue to meet the people. Meet the people, make the friendships, and then choose your activities wisely.
Awesome. Oh, love that, Travis. Thank you. Thank you. So just to be mindful of time, I also definitely want to get to some of the questions that students have included in the Q&A section. So one question that we got that I think is really important to talk about is about QuestBridge. I know we've thrown the word QuestBridge around a lot, and I know that some of our panelists work closely with the QuestBridge community, whether they're a student who's QuestBridge or a staff member who supports those students. So for those who are a part of the QuestBridge community at Hamilton, can you guys explain what happens in that community or talk about some of the special events and programming that QuestBridge scholars are a part of?
Yeah, so I can start because I'm on the e-board of QuestBridge. I've been on the e-board since my first year, since my first semester here. And I think QuestBridge is just an amazing community where you can like reach out for any type of help you need. Like if you need help in deciding courses, or if you have something really specific that you want, that's just a network of people that's always going to be there for you as a fallback. But also we organize a lot of events. We did a tie-dye like water balloon fight last year with like white shirts. There's a lot of like formals, well, not formals, it's more like it was a celebration of QuestBridge's like 25th, I don't know, some anniversary of QuestBridge as an organization. We have a big welcome event. We also have a peer-to-peer mentoring network within QuestBridge where, you know, every first year that's coming in is assigned to a peer mentor that's you know, an upperclassman, so they can help guide you through that process. So there's a lot of I guess connections that you form just because you're a part of QuestBridge. And Dean Maria is always there. Anytime I need something like big, the first person I go to is Dean Maria, who's such an integral part of QuestBridge. The first thing I do is email her and I'm like, can you help me with this, please? So yeah, it's just a really nice like sub community, I guess, of like that safety mechanism that you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Niari. Anyone else want to add or touch on what QuestBridge means at Hamilton and what kinds of things are happening with the QuestBridge community? Alrighty, awesome. Well, another question that we got from our Q&A was for the panelists. How did you feel meeting with those who came from different academic atmospheres, such as competitive high schools? How were you able to relate to them and understand them? So for our students, but also for our staff, what kinds of interactions have you noticed from individuals coming from a variety of high schools, right? Diverse backgrounds from all over the country, all over the world, and how are students able to make connections with students coming from such different places? And this is for all panelists. So any students or staff members who wants to chime in about how are students meeting one another, especially when coming from different atmospheres, such as a variety of different high schools.
Yeah, I can answer it, help start it off. I think like one thing is that like most students at Hamilton, I don't feel like are like, I feel like they're all very internally motivated, but they're not competitive in a way. It's like, I need to be better than other people, if that makes sense. And so like, I think one way that like I connected with like students in my class, regardless of their background, is like, you can just like get together, review for tests, you know, work on homework together, just kind of like meeting different groups, going to office hours. You just run into, like, you'll notice that if you're on campus, like a lot of students go to their professor's office hours pretty frequently, and you'll run into other students there, and you can just like meet new people and like realize that they might have similar questions as you, or you can just spend time like reaching out and just saying, hey, you want to work on like the next problem set together or something like that, and like they'll be happy to do that. So I think that's like one really good way to like just like bridge the gap with like people who like you might not even know like what high school they go from. I don't even feel like, honestly, like most of the times I don't even know if I know like what high school people go to. That's not a question I feel like comes up as much as you would think.
Right. Aaron, it looked like you might wanted to say something. Did you want to chime in and add about this idea of students coming from all these different high schools being able to embrace one another on campus?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, you know, it can be intimidating coming to a school like Hamilton. It's such a hard school to get in. And there may be some students who feel like, why was I admitted? Why am I here? Am I good enough to be here? I talk to my students a lot about imposter syndrome, and I just want to make it clear to everyone here, you were admitted for a reason. Doesn't matter what high school you're coming from, like the admissions office evaluated your application and they chose you. And so you have to remind yourself that, because yeah, there's going to be times that maybe you're in class and the professor is using vocabulary that you're not super familiar with from back home or in your high school, or the professor's going over a concept and you look around and everyone seems like they understand it and you're like, I have no idea what he just said. Just remember that there are resources available to support you. The Writing Center is top notch. The Oral Communication Center is top notch. The QSR, I mean, we have a tutor on the panel, so I have to say is top notch. So no, like there's going to be times where you'll probably question yourself. Like I think every student at every college goes through that at some point, but just remember, you are here for a reason.
Definitely. Oh, thank you so much for saying that, Aaron, because as one of the admissions officers, we really are super excited for all of you to be here, not only in this panel tonight, but also to join this community on the Hill. So again, thank you for saying that, Aaron. I really appreciate that. So those are some of the questions that we were really excited to tackle, but we also like to end these panels with a lightning round, right? We like to ask all of our panelists some really quick questions where responses we're expecting maybe 5 to 10 seconds, but I'm just going to start throwing some questions out and calling on people randomly. So are y'all ready? All right, awesome. Seeing some nods. Let's do this. Lightning round. Favorite Hamilton tradition. Travis Hill, can you start us off?
Oh, I have a couple, but I'm going to go with Feb Fest.
Fest.
The winter is long and longer than we would like, admittedly, but Feb Fest is an awesome break in all of it, a series of activities and opportunities, whether it's outdoor things, indoor things, swag drops. There's just all kinds of things to do to kind of break up the long lull of the winter.
Awesome. Niari, what's your favorite tradition on campus?
I'd have to say the Citrus Bowl. It's the first men's ice hockey game, and it was this big thing in the past where all of the students would throw like oranges on the rink. Now it's just more of a chocolate chip cookies, hot chocolate, and free shirts vibe.
Awesome. Icy, favorite Hamilton tradition?
I haven't experienced it yet, but I'm looking forward to class and chat today. It seems like it's going to be so great performers. Like heat is opening. I'm very excited.
Denzel, favorite Hamilton tradition?
Trivia nights at the pub.
Nice. Paula, favorite Hamilton tradition?
I'm gonna have to be biased here and say DMC open house. There you go.
Aaron, favorite Hamilton tradition?
I have to say just students arriving at the beginning of the year. There's nothing like campus going from dead silent to just everybody's hugging, smiling, high-fiving each other, before COVID. But yeah, everyone coming back to campus is my favorite.
Agree. All right, and one word to describe the Hamilton community. Last lightning round question. So Aaron, back to you. What is one word to describe the Hamilton community?
Busy.
Busy. Love to hear it. Paula, one word to describe Hamilton community.
Empowering.
Empowering. Denzel?
Close.
Close. Icy?
Passionate.
Passionate. Niari?
Wholesome.
Wholesome. And Travis Hill?
Active.
Active. Awesome. Oh, I love those words, y'all. That was a great group of words. Definitely gonna throw those into the info session next time. I appreciate that. All righty, y'all. Well, again, thank you so much for joining our panel tonight. We do have one final question for our panelists, and it's an important question. So what is a piece of advice you would provide to a student deciding on where to go to college, right? And I think this question is appropriate for all of our admitted students joining our panel tonight, but what is that one piece of advice you would like to give to these students now that they're in the process of making this really big decision that is so important? I'm gonna leave this to anyone who would like to answer first.
I'll jump in. I will just say that pick the place that feels like home. Don't necessarily do it based on a name or a reputation. Pick the place that you feel like you will make the most of the experience and you will get the best experience out of it.
Thank you, Travis. Anyone else? Any piece of advice for students? Any pieces of advice that you received or you wished you received when making a final college decision for our staff members? Any advice now that you've been at Hamilton that you think it's important for students thinking about Hamilton should know?
If you're able to come visit, take some time to just take in the campus, walk around, maybe by yourself, leave mom and dad at the admissions office, just explore a little bit, talk to the people in the dining hall or, you know, behind the food service counter, talk to random members of the community, because I think that'll tell you the vibe of that campus community. How willing are they to engage with you? If you can't make it to campus, which is understandable because we're still in a pandemic, utilize the social media accounts of different organizations and clubs on campus, ask questions, try to get connected. If you reach out to admissions and you really want to talk to someone in a specific program or a specific major, they'll be happy to connect you. But it's obviously a huge decision that you're making for the next 4+ years of your life. So you want to take every opportunity to really get a sense of what that community is like.
I'm going to add a little bit to Aaron's. I always call it like test drive the car. And if there's students that you want to connect with, or you're like, hey, I really have a question for a student who would be interested, who would be involved in blank, right? And it's not maybe represented on this panel, or the interest might not be here, reach out. I would love to connect you with students, or would love to join via Zoom if you have questions. Please ask your questions, because it's a exciting decision. And like I said, you don't buy a car without seeing it first. So check us out.
Love that. And for students, any advice that you would have for future classmates of yours about making a decision about where they're going to college?
I think just one thing for me is just really think about what's important to you and what you would want to see in your future community, because ultimately that's how I made my decision, was, you know, really sitting down with myself and thinking what's important to me.
I see. Denzel, any advice you'd have for future class of 2026?
I would say, I definitely agree. Definitely choose the place that feels right for you. Like, if you know that liberal arts education is important to you, if you know that you're looking for like a place with a lot of resources and stuff like that, definitely know what you're looking for in a college and then go towards that. That's my advice.
Love it, love it. And Denzel, take us home.
I would just say, remember that it's 4 years, and just think about that you're going to be spending 4 years on the campus. So like everyone else is saying, pick the place that does feel like home, and just keep that in mind, because it is like, you know, it's a commitment. It's a commitment. Wherever you decide to go is a commitment. So you want to make sure that you're going to be happy there all 4 years.
Couldn't have said it better. Well, thank you to all of our panelists, and thank you to the admitted students for joining us. We hope you have learned more about our diverse and inclusive community here at Hamilton. If you have any further questions, please email them to admission@hamilton.edu. I'll also plug in my email, egradoni@hamilton.edu. So if you have any further questions or concerns, or if you want to continue any of the conversations we started today, please feel free to bombard our inbox with all your emails and all your questions. But without further ado, thank you so much. Also, feel free to check out hamilton.edu/visit for future events, as we do have a number of events in the month of April for all of our newly admitted students. But good night. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and stay safe out there.